Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, along with Pauly Howard, makes his return today as we're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Loaded show today. A lot on the NFL with the divisional round matchups, odds for the next head coach at these various openings in the NFL, including a new head coach favorite, I think, every day for the Dallas Cowboys, a new one as we speak. It's a really good NBA card, a loaded college basketball card. We have David Purdom on the program. Dalen Cuff from ESPN is going to be on the show. Typically, Derek Stevens is on as well. We just found out 5 minutes ago, a little under the weather. I think everybody in the entire city of Las Vegas has the flu. Pauly, you're back today. You thought you had the flu yesterday, huh?
Everything checked out.
No good.
Just said some inflammation. I thought for sure I had strep.
Inflammation like in the throat area?
Yeah. He gave me the good stuff, the meds, so I was proud of myself. I was at the doctor by 6:58 a.m.
Were you really?
And seated. Yeah.
And they were open and they took you and they saw you.
Everything was, yes.
Oh, it was a perfect storm
I
then.
got urgent care, did their thing. Absolutely. It was good. Yeah. Much like the Minnesota Vikings, my friend, who do not. This is why the fan base wasn't excited. Okay? I go back to 1998, which when I dropped 75 pounds because I didn't want to watch football or leave the house for 2 weeks when they were 15-1, and Gary Anderson hadn't missed a kick. Couldn't even go to the Super Bowl. 0 for 4 in Super Bowls. Blair Walsh kicked. Gary Anderson, 14-win wild card team. You're playing for the 1 seed. Nope. You got Sam Darnold locked up. You can trade McCarthy. Nope, can't do that. You're going to go on the road, win a playoff game like Dan Campbell said, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Nope. And you go out in a blaze of glory. You give up on the game. It's just that's the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, I think actually the most egregious thing potentially last night was the last thing that you said. They gave up on the game.
Yeah, they did early.
And so we can talk about this game all day long because there's a lot to dissect. They had the ball. Think about this for a second. They got the ball with 2 minutes and 7 seconds to go in the third quarter. They ran 3 run plays, 1 pass play, 11 yards in that time until the quarter ran out. That's how they moved into the fourth quarter. Where was the sense of urgency? 11 plays in more than 5 minutes, 46 yards, and they punted from their own midfield. 10 plays in almost 4 minutes. They gained 29 yards, turnover on downs at the 46. You can't make this stuff up, how slowly they were approaching. Like, they're running the clock down on these plays. They're running the ball. Mm-hmm. It's 27-9. You're down by 18. I get it. You guys lost 41-0 against the Giants like 20-plus years ago. Mm-hmm. That game was over with in the second quarter. I could tell you last night's game, I don't know, maybe it's not over with, but you acted like it was.
Yeah, well, sure. How many times did Buck say, do they know they're down 18 points here? No sense of urgency. Not going hurry up. You better make it when it's fourth and short from midfield there, too, because once you didn't get that, the game was over. But it was bizarre how they punted on the game. So you thought you had Coach of the Year. Still, maybe. Who knows? You thought you had Comeback Player of the Year and a quarterback you give a long-term deal to. That goes out the window. But goes back to seeing ghost, and that's the sums up the Minnesota Vikings perfectly, where they can't. Either they lose the big game or they go out in like a hunk of trash and just a dumpster fire. So to think, I mean, seeing ghost and Hoy hanging on the ball, taking the sack, the defense was flat. You knew they were in trouble right away. The Rams go right down the field. I mean, nothing was working. Ridiculous, right?
So what was...
Even the throw he made, even the touchdown pass to Hockenson is behind him, and he had to make... Addison, open. Horrible throw. Had him. Jefferson, open. Why wouldn't you throw the ball? Aikman stunned. He's open on the bubble screen. Won't give it to him. I mean, it's just, what were you thinking? Seeing ghost again. The Sam Darnold we all know and love.
Yeah, it was not going well for him last night, but I can flat out tell you that as I was watching the game, and it was not going well for Kevin O'Connell, and it was not going well for Sam Darnold, but the first and strongest thought that I had on the game was, oh my God, this Minnesota offensive line is getting obliterated. And I thought, too, how the Rams have done an amazing job, because remember, when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago, they did that, and they sold their souls to the devil by signing all these guys to, like, monster contracts. They had, like, no picks, so they had to get the limited amount of draft picks that they had to get them right, and Les Snead, the GM there. When you consider that Aaron Donald is maybe the best defensive lineman or one of them of our lifetime, he's no longer there. They have replaced him. They nailed, like, every one of these picks. All those young players who they drafted in recent years were all over the football field, and they were in Darnold's face last night. So I tip my cap to them and the defensive coordinator. In fact, I went down and I looked at the film today as well. Nate Tice father, Mike Tice, former Vikings coach, he does film work and a lot of media. He had great threads, and he's like, look, if you're going to ask me right now how many sacks were on Sam Darnold in the first half, that he took 6 of them, he said there was 1, and he sent out video, like proof, like, here's what happened, here's how the Rams adjusted. They called everything last night. They would snuff out a screen, so Darnold would have to call an audible. He would look to Jefferson as his first progression. Jefferson slipped on the field. Then he's got a audible there. I'm asking myself last night, and again as I'm watching the film today, how many quarterbacks in the league would have been successful last night in that spot? The answer is not many.
Well, I think he was holding on to the ball too long. At least you got to get rid of it.
But shame on O'Connell for not adjusting and running like quicker plays.
That's fair. I do agree it's a great coaching job. To be 1-4 and decimated by injury, a mass shooting on defense, and you win the division and win a playoff game, and you're still standing. I mean, to think this team was 14-2 and now looking at 1 seed and now 1 and done, it's a great job by McVay, no doubt. And this defense was a sieve early on, couldn't stop anything. Hard to kill him, though, with all the injuries. It's a weird resume, though, too. Blown out against Arizona. Should have lost at home to Arizona for the division. Couldn't put away the Jets. Problems in New England. Couldn't put them away. Won, but some of the games were, lost at home on Monday night to Miami. Beat this Vikings team at home, which also turned the season around. Got obliterated by the Eagles at home. It's been a wonky year for the Rams. But that was just, it goes back to the Sunday night game, though, as well, where those guys, he had Addison for the touchdown, didn't throw it to him. He had Jefferson, didn't throw it to him. And it was going back to holding the ball, and not making the accurate throw. And it sums up this franchise beautifully, what's transpired over the last 2 games.
You brought this up 4 minutes ago. I will say it actually cements my thoughts on Kevin O'Connell as the coach of the year. And for the people who are going to vote for, or already voted for Sam Darnold comeback player of the year, I think that actually solidified it last night. It's because look at how bad it went for this team the last 2 games of the year, right? Nothing went right. O'Connell was really bad. Darnold was bad on top of it. But for 16 games, Darnold, you cannot ignore that they won 14 games and his overall numbers were as good as they are. And you also cannot ignore the relationship here and what O'Connell was able to do with Sam Darnold. So to me, this just, it further proves that he probably deserved Coach of the Year. And if you want to make the case for Darnold, I don't have a vote again. I bet on him. So it'd be great if he would win. But he played like JVT and I ran down the games yesterday. Maybe he had 3 bad games all year long.
Oh, yeah, great against Atlanta. Great against the Packers.
Awesome.
Yes,
right?
Yes. Everything was fine till the Detroit game.
You're exactly right. And so just the way the season ended, that's the taste that we're going to have in our mouths.
Uh-huh.
And it's not a good one.
Yep. Now what?
Well, Eagles are back to 6.5. Or do you mean for the Vikings?
The Vikings, yeah.
Well, that's I think the bigger talking point for now next year.
Bring back McCarthy? Because you're thinking, okay, we'll sign Sam. We'll trade McCarthy, but now we'll play McCarthy and the backup is Danny Dimes if something happens. Still someone, I'm sure Shanahan's got an ego and say, I'll bring that guy in here. We'll run that back if we don't want to sign Purdy, or we could have Purdy Dart. But there'll be a market for the guy. But how much he lost a lot of money,
I would think.
But it goes back to what Minnesota's going to do. You can't give him a long-term deal if you're the Vikings now. You just can't. You took the kid, even though he's off the injury, you drafted him high. It's just you can't watch those last 2 games and then turn around and give him a ton of money. Can't do it.
What would you offer Darnold today? I'm not money, years.
Boy,
would you offer him 2? Because you're not going to go 5-6 years.
The Vikings are another organization.
I'm saying Minnesota.
If I'm the Vikings, I check in on McCarthy first.
Sure.
What are people willing to offer me? And then is he going to come back and rehab and be ready to go? And can he be my guy? And I maybe go McCarthy and then Danny Dimes and see what happens there. But this is a mess now.
O'Connell might think that, look what I just did. Look what I did last year.
Sure, that's what he'll do.
After Cousins got hurt, we were totally alive, and I was winning games with Josh Dobbs, and we were impressive, and we were a threat. And then look what he did this year. So maybe in his brain, he's like, we don't need Darnold back. We can wait on McCarthy. We're going to have Danny Dimes here. I can make it work with him. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's how they don't offer Darnold anything, and then some other team gives him a 3 or 4 year contract, and they pay too much money for him. Maybe that scenario exists. I don't know.
Yeah. So James Sullivan said, survivor sweat. Everyone thinks they have the best-looking baby. So someone will come in with a hot new coaching staff and say, I can make that work. I saw what O'Connell did. I can do it. And there's a lot of bad quarterbacks that we're starting. They could say, right? The other thing is, what the hell's intentional grounding? Come on. Stafford's not even looking.
I know. I know. The throwaway, the look away, yep.
What? They don't call intentional grounding anymore. which is just another reason for these guys to do the YOLO play and the Jordan Love crap and the Will Levis stuff, too, where they'll never throw it.
Sure.
Stroud, that was intentional grounding. Last night, Stafford, intentional grounding. Sunday night game, Goff in the back of his own. In the area. What, 20 yards? What area?
Remember, they did that to, wasn't it Joe Burrow they actually called it on him against the Chiefs a couple of years ago, and there was a guy, he threw it at the guy's feet, his own teammate's feet against the Chiefs. They could have won the game. They called it like intentional grounding, if I recall correctly.
Oh, my God.
They got that one wrong. So what? Now the Eagles are back to 6.5.
Back to 6, yeah. What do you think?
Are the Rams a threat? Does the first time they played, does that mean anything? Barkley had 255. You can't come on.
They toyed with them. I know. Well, first things, Hurts was rusty. They have to get that straightened out.
Oh, for sure.
And you got to, put down the book from A.J. Brown. But my first blush is that's a lot of points.
Yeah, me too. I think maybe Rams first quarter with the Eagles struggles.
Uh-huh. But the Rams were the second worst team in the league first quarter, and they come right out.
I'll break down the defense a little bit later on.
All right, the big news, we're back on SiriusXM this Friday, 24/7 sports betting coverage, SiriusXM channel 158 and the SiriusXM app. All the insights, analysis, and picks you need to stay ahead of the game. Mark your calendars this Friday, SiriusXM channel 158. We're back, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Been a while. Been a minute. We were there from day one. Went away for a couple of years, and now management, awesome job getting us back, and it's going to be channel 158 starting on Friday. So we have a lot of openings across the league at head coach, and there is a new favorite, I think, every single day for the Cowboys job. And if they do this, if they make this move, my good God.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
As of yesterday, after we got news that Big Mike McCarthy would be no longer the Dallas Cowboys head coach after this season, Kellen Moore, former OC there, and a couple of other spots as well, he was the short shot on the board at plus 250 to become the Cowboys' next head coach. This is yesterday. Deion Sanders was 3-1. Cliff Kingsbury 5-1. Joe Brady was at 7. Lincoln Riley was at 9. Ben Johnson was at 10. As of right now, Cowboys' next head coach, Deion Sanders, is now the short shot at plus 150. This would make... He's going to do this, isn't he?
It's going to be Deion or Kellen Moore. Witten, the second choice. I can't believe that.
Jason Witten is currently plus 175.
Oh, my God, yeah. How about that? Just that's what he does. So I don't know whether it's just nepotism or being cheap, or maybe both, but don't want to pay McCarthy. Not that I loved him, but how he waited this long and couldn't work out a deal. Meanwhile, you're late to the dance and you missed all these guys now. You won't spend and get that big-time coach. Humans compared the Cowboys to Taco Bell. I think it's more like Man U, how poorly run they've been. Jimmy Johnson, he's getting too much of the credit. Get him out of here. I'm sick of all these championships. Okay? And at some point, you're going to die, right? Belichick, why wouldn't you get him? You missed out on Vrabel, all of it, right? My kids have to run the organization. Okay. It's ridiculous. So I think it's going to be Kellen Moore or maybe Deion, but it's just all this other stuff where it's the Dallas Cowboys. You should be able to get Peyton. Won't do it. Ben Johnson won't do it. Vrabel, late. Belichick, doubt it. It's just all these guys were staring you right in the face. And here you go again, probably going to win 8-9 games if you're lucky, and even goes back to what he did with Cooper Rush week 18. They didn't play Trey Lance because they wanted to get a good look at him. It's because Cooper Rush was going to hit incentives.
That's right, yeah. So I maybe there's a comparison there to the New York Yankees, but I have to tell you, because they're both, they're two of the proudest organizations in all of sports. Historically, they've won just, a combined zillion championships, mostly the Yankees there. But I actually think Yankees fans would look at the Cowboys fans and say, God, at least we're not them.
Sure. Good point. Yes.
I don't know if there is a comparison for the Dallas Cowboys. They are like the number one brand, or if every single team went on the market tomorrow, who's going to sell for the most? It might be the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could throw me any number, 10, 12, 15 billion. I'd be like, okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah. It's not going to happen with this guy.
No,
he has no idea what he's doing.
No.
He's a great businessman, and he's a good actor and landman. But other than that, how he's picking his coaches and how he stuck with the Clapper for all those years and how you would think, I want to win and all this. And if you want to win and end this drought, and make a conference championship game or at least get back to a Super Bowl, you would hire one of these big-name coaches.
I can't believe that he stuck with Clapper as long as he did and then said after this many years. And by the way, there was a stretch until this year where Big Mike won 12 straight games 3 consecutive years, or 12 games 3 in a row. And you're going to give him, 5 years? And he gave the Clapper almost a decade. And, I mean, Jason Garrett is he's not the worst coach. He's one of the worst coaches I've ever seen. He did absolutely nothing for the organization. He might be a worse announcer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you're going to give McCarthy almost half the amount of time that Clapper had? How does that make sense?
Right, and then how we handled it at the end. You wouldn't give the Bears permission. Why not? His deal was
Why
up.
would you not do that?
And then you couldn't agree, and you were going to, go on the cheap with him again and not give him a guaranteed deal, so he's out of there now, too. So how we handled it, and then why the song and dance? Why didn't you go out and get and then do this earlier and then move on and interview some of these big-time candidates, which I love what Troy Aikman said last night. He's like, I don't think this is a coveted job. Who says this is a coveted job?
Think about
he
that.
was awesome on the pregame. Good for him. It's not.
Troy Aikman is saying that.
Absolutely. Good for him. It's not a coveted job because you got to answer to this guy who doesn't know what he's doing.
You might think to yourself, well, maybe that would be kind of eye-opening to Jerry Jones. He's probably thinking the exact opposite. How do we blackball this guy from he's no longer welcome around these parts. Keep him out. We don't want any of that nonsense around here anymore. For what it's worth.
Well, yeah, he did that to Jimmy Johnson. He wouldn't put him in the Ring of Honor forever.
Right. Took 30 years.
Yeah.
ESPN.com today, Dan Graziano predicted where all of these teams are going to go for the next head coach. For the Cowboys, he says Kellen Moore is going to be the guy.
Well, Dion, I'm here for the circus. I mean, that's going to put a tent over that carnival. If he goes with Dion, well, the madness.
How many lifelong Cowboy fans do you think at this point, if they haven't already told themselves this, and that is, I'm done. I'm out. I'm no longer rooting for this team anymore.
You can root for him. Okay, that's fair, but I would rather just say, I'll root for you, but you're not going to get any of my money. Like, I'm not going to the games, and I'm not going to support it that way, but I'll watch. But that's right. Is it a hand-in-hand deal, too, where maybe you move on from Dak, and it's try to move up, you take the son at quarterback, and you sign Dion. Who knows? But that's, I know. It's a Mickey Mouse operation. It's a hot dog stand.
Trade Dak, the first-round pick, and some other things for the number 1 pick to get Shedeur Sanders. That'd be a great start.
Remember, he got into it with those guys on the radio show, and those guys were great. It's like you're more concerned about – you don't care about titles anymore.
No.
It's about how much is the evaluation of the franchise and how much are people talking about it in clicks. It's ass backwards what he's doing. He's got all this wrong. And then how do you pay $200 million for a yacht, but you won't play Cooper Rush Week 18 because he might hit him a couple of incentives? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Laughable.
Graziano is predicting Brian Flores to the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson is minus 125 offshore. McCarthy is 2-1 to go to the Bears. Kingsbury 7-1. Flores is 9-1 as we speak. Live updated odds offshore.
That'd be unfortunate. That's not the move to make. Johnson number 1. Kingsbury number 2, McCarthy number 3. It's got to be an offensive guy.
It has to be offensive guy.
They can't do that. They can't do that.
I think Aaron Glenn's going to get a job, I think, this cycle. I don't think the Chicago Bears would be the right spot for him.
No. I actually would go Joe Brady 4. It's got to be an offensive guy. You got to fix it. It starts with Williams. If you can't fix that guy and get this offense looking like a decent operation, then you're not going anywhere.
Graziano is predicting Joe Brady, current Bills offensive coordinator, to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen is actually minus 110.
He was $3.
Joe Brady is now 6-1 today to go to Jacksonville. I think that might make a little bit of sense.
I would say Cohen or Brady. Yeah.
Either one of those guys I think would be, and maybe it's 6-1. Maybe 6-1 there. Joe Brady's worth a pop.
All right. How about your big boy? How about out here?
Well, how about this?
This one's nuts.
Graziano has Ben Johnson going to the Raiders.
Yeah. Apparently, Brady is calling the shots, and this is picking up some steam. That he's been working on him, and maybe Johnson's gonna see the light. If I'm Johnson, I have to take the Bears job. But if
I'm Ben Johnson, Paul, honestly, you could have had your pick of any job basically last year, this year, or next year. Do you really want to go out here? Do you want to come out here and be the head guy for the Raiders?
I was surprised. He's dialed in. He knows everybody. I'd be shocked if he takes this job.
You have to have
what's out there.
So much faith in Tom Brady. You have to. And maybe did you see this report that was erroneous, But there were a bunch of websites reporting that Brady was going to step down from his analyst role in Fox and concentrate on being the owner for the Raiders. That would be by far the best thing for the organization. Although he's never done this, I can tell you flat out right now, I would trust Tom Brady much more today calling the shots than Mark Davis.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think Mark Davis has a clue about anything.
No. That's a game changer, though, if they can get Ben Johnson. Where does Big Mike go?
He has the Saints. No, check that. He has Aaron Glenn to the Saints.
He has Big Mike nowhere.
Nowhere.
He's got, Glenn to the Saints.
Nowhere. I'll tell you what, this would be...
Big Mike's not going to get shut out, is he?
No, I actually... you said this last week, and I was thinking the same thing, and I agree. I don't hate Big Mike to the Bears. I don't think that you can think to yourself, we're going to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, but I think offensively, they'd be fine.
Yeah, I like it more than Flores.
Yeah, so do I.
Flores, he tore people down in Miami. This guy, you're beating up to every day, and he had to deal with the tanking stuff and a lunatic owner, but that's not a good fit.
I tell you what, I love the idea of Deion Sanders to the Cowboys compared to this prediction, and that is the Jets going with Arthur Smith as their next head coach. That's an automatic F, and it will not work.
Uh-huh. Yeah. How bad was that performance?
He's terrible.
Yeah. Shut out at halftime. First time that happened with Tomlin in a playoff game.
All they did in Atlanta was draft offensive guys. Had no idea how to use any of them, and he's an offensive guy. And then the Steelers were a complete dead team for the last quarter of the season.
They had one play. The sideline route to either Pickens or whoever on the other side. It's the only thing that worked. Yards, first half, 308 to 59. First downs, 19-2. Rushing yards, 164 to 19. 13 runs, 13 plays, touchdown. First time that happened in a game since 2006. Yeah. Tomlin should follow him out the door.
Yeah. I give Deion to the Cowboys an A compared to Arthur Smith going to the Jets.
Yes, well said. If sports betting and trading, understanding probability, ultimate game changer. Unlock the secrets of high probability trading with Todd Bubba Horowitz, former floor trader and seasoned sports bettor with over 45 years of experience. Visit BubbaTrading.com/VSiN, promo code VSiN500 to save $500. Don't miss your chance to sharpen your strategy and gain the edge in your trading game. BubbaTrading.com/VSiN, promo code VSiN500.
We might be looking at all-time good for this conference tournament this year. Another proud organization should say bye-bye to their head coach. And the playoffs are wide open. Do you concur is next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Great moments in history have begun with a question.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
And what kind of hair product does Mitch Moss use? But Follow the Money wants to know.
Do you concur? Concur with what, sir? Do you concur?
All right, my friend. Let's elaborate on this. Mike Tomlin has to go. Do you concur?
Okay, I need to ask you a question, though, first.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that based on this year or based on how long he's been there and how bad it's been, I guess, for the last decade or so?
I'm going back to 2016. No playoff wins. First time shut at home in the first half. In the first half. 6 of the playoff losses by 3 touchdowns. The horrible starts.
Giving up 30, 40 points in the playoffs every single game.
Yeah, lost 36-17 to the Patriots, 45-42 to Jacksonville, trailed 14 rip. Lost 48-37 to Cleveland, trailed 28 rip. Lost 42-21 to Kansas City, lost 31-17 last year to Buffalo, and then that abomination on Saturday.
Well, I mean, Paul, let's be honest, though. They were the worst team in the playoffs. Right? They're a terrible team.
You were 10-3, though.
We talked about this. We talked about this on the show yesterday with JVT. And we said that you can't overreact to this year because they don't have a lot of talent on the team overall.
Quarterback play's been shoddy. Yep.
Yeah, the feedback that we got from the Pittsburgh area was awesome, and every person disagreed, and they said, you don't understand how much, and they said this, like national media, they don't get it. Some local guys are tied in. How much say Mike Tomlin has in the draft picks? He's got a lot of say, if not like all of it or a ton of it, right? Well, if that's the case then, because I look at the roster and I'm like, this guy got 10 wins out of that roster. Like, I think they stink.
Right, that's fair.
But if he has a ton of say in who they're going to be picking, then we have a major problem. And I do believe that eventually a guy's voice can become stale in any sport. Now, he's been there for too long. So I do concur that it's probably, they're not going to do this, but it's time to move on and go in a different direction.
Watched a lot of garbage over the weekend. Greg Roman, you suck. That was horrendous. 3rd and 1, running east-west with your running back instead of north-south, and then taking a deep shot with Herbert right after the turnover as well. Some of the crap that Roman came up with.
Talk to me about Texas at the goal line, please, against Ohio State.
Now that's all-timer. Shotgun from the 2, and then toss it backward. The Andrews push, the Kraft push, what they do in Philadelphia. I want more. Get the tight end there. The Andrews push. Everything. Chargers wouldn't do it with Herbert. The Andrews push is here to stay. I couldn't get enough of it. Every team should do that. Do you concur?
Oh, they need to work on this and find the guy, right? How do you
That's
stop
going to get
this?
3 yards. Not 1. That's going to get 3.
How do teams stop this?
You can't.
Remember, Sal Pal, who's going to be on the show this Friday, not his typical Wednesday spot with us, he had a great breakdown on ESPN on Countdown last year talking about why the tush push is so difficult to stop. And the Eagles mastered this thing because they had a great offensive line. The quarterback, of course, because he's got the monstrous calves.
Squad, but this is better. This is better.
It might be better, yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you have this now, if you have film, and every team does, why would you not work on something like this? And if I ever see like shotgun on 3rd and 1 rather than this, you need to fire your coaches immediately.
The Texas play is all-time bad. How do you come up with that?
I wanted to break something, and I needed Ohio State.
Yep. Ridiculous. College football playoffs ended up being great. This is why we did this. If Notre Dame wins Monday, they'll have the worst loss ever for a champ. But Ohio State was the best team when it's all said and done. Do you concur?
I think so. Look, I mean,
resume's incredible now.
Sure it is. I understand that we had to put up with a lot of the blowouts to get here. It's 1 year. It's a very small sample size. It happens. Hello, the Final Four in college basketball is a dud a lot of times, right? Do we have a lot of good games in the NFL this weekend, by the way?
Hello.
No, we did not. No, I loved it, even though you had to, the games were not down to the wire every single one, but the way it worked out, and now if Ohio State does win it, absolutely, like they were probably the correct team. I'm not going to say all along, because that Michigan loss was, they're not even in the tournament if we don't go to 12 teams, but I love it. I think it's great. And
they got it right, and this is why you did this. Now,
and again, they'll tinker. They get the seeding right and the home teams.
But the title game's Monday. It's an 8 seed against a 7 seed. It's a team that wouldn't have made it because they lost to Northern Illinois, and it's a team that wouldn't have made it because they lost their last game to their rival and were a 20-point favorite. But you beat Texas, you beat Oregon, you exercise the demons there, you beat Indiana, you beat Penn State. Incredible resume by the Buckeyes.
Yep.
The SEC season, conference play, and the tournament. And it's madness tonight. College basketball, this is going to be all-time good. Do you concur?
I do concur. The games that we have on the schedule, which we'll get to at the top of the hour, just for a regular Tuesday in mid-January tonight, it's phenomenal. I don't know how this happened. I know it's been in like more recent years, but I'm not going to say like the SEC was an afterthought in college basketball. They always had Kentucky and some other teams. But it is like clearly the number one team. This, if you're ever going to go to a conference tournament, the SEC tournament this year might be the one to attend.
Yes.
I mean, how many, again, you might have some blowouts, but on paper, how many stellar matchups are you going to have like every session of every day of that tournament? And we might have, 6 SEC teams in the top 3 seeds? So either a 1, 2, or a 3 this year?
Yep.
And they all deserve it probably? Yeah, it is. It's incredible. The biggest disappointment in film, at least recently, and going back maybe a long time now, is Joker 2. Do you concur?
A tough question to go back in history. Godfather 3 jumps out. But this thing is trash. I've never started to fast forward through a movie so fast.
Why?
Than what I did. It's a musical. You didn't know what you were getting into. You're hoping for nothing happens. It's just bizarre. The singing, the dancing. I'm fast forwarding, waiting for something to happen. Gone in like 20 minutes. What'd your friend say? How about this in debacle here? What'd your buddy say about the movie?
He randomly asked me like 2 weekends ago if I gave it a shot yet. And I asked him why, because the way that he phrases stuff like on text, I could tell right away that he doesn't like it. I'm like, give me your thoughts. He goes, I've tried 3 or 4 times. I can't even get past the beginning. He absolutely hates it and thinks it's one of the all-time worst movies he's ever seen.
That's fair.
Based on, I think, like having expectations, how good the first one was with Joaquin Phoenix.
Right.
And like the trailer and the preview looked outstanding. And now they decided to go the direction of a musical? Yeah.
First one was good.
First one was great.
Okay, now what happens? They go into the asylum, breaking out. What's he doing with Gaga? Nothing. Ridiculous. Troy Aikman is correct. This is not a coveted job. Do you concur?
Yeah, as long as Jerry Jones is the owner.
Good for him to say that.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Good for him.
And again, think about that's not like a hot take on some morning show that all they ever talk about is the Cowboys or the Lakers. That's Troy Aikman, multiple Super Bowl winning quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, on national TV last night saying, why would anybody want this job? That's incredible to have those words come out of his mouth. That's the most damning statement that Jerry Jones could ever listen to. And it had to irk him so badly last night that he just wanted to probably kill Troy. I don't know what the relationship is like, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't follow it that closely. But of all these jobs that are open this year, you tell me, would you rather have the Bears or the Cowboys? Right? We could probably play that. I mean, the Jets is no great shake, but you could probably make a case. Jacksonville, I don't think so. But a lot of these other jobs, you could probably say, yeah, give me that rather than the Cowboys because I don't want to deal with Jerry Jones.
NFL playoffs are wide open. You can make the case that 6 teams out of the 8 left can win the Super Bowl. Do you concur?
100%.
I say no Houston, no Washington.
Okay, let me ask you this about that game. Could you see Washington beating Detroit?
Oh, that'd be tough. It's a horrible spot. Sunday night, now you got to play the Saturday game. Detroit rested. You can't stop anything on defense. Everything's going to have to go your way on 4th down.
They're a bigger dog than Houston against KC. Would you be more surprised if Washington wins or Houston beats KC?
Good question. I'd be more surprised if Houston wins.
So would I.
I don't give him a shot.
Like I can see
were Herbert all-time bad night.
It was terrible.
Yep.
I can see that game, the Detroit game, going several different ways. But you're right. I mean, I bet Baltimore. It's no surprise if Buffalo wins that game and they go to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are who they are. I honestly think if the Rams would beat the Eagles, I'm not even going to be floored. And I think the Eagles are awesome. But this Rams team, with that defense and the way they played now in 4 basically games in a row, I'll throw out the Week 18 game against Seattle, starter sat.
Yep.
They're allowing 8 points per game.
Another tough spot, though, too. You're going Monday night in Arizona. Now you got to go to Philly.
That's the part that I don't like.
And then you got to get up with the emotions again. And, we're playing for the people of L.A. And
no doubt.
Whitworth stuff and what Stafford said after the game. So now can you do that again? That's going to be tough. Plus the Eagles won and they were awful. Getting ready for Big Game 59 with a big deal to match. Save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code FTM. Become a VSiN Pro annual subscriber. Bet smarter all year long. Full access, every best bet to help you cash more tickets. The betting splits from DraftKings and Circa 24/7 video access to as well. Don't miss out on the big game deal. VSiN.com/subscribe. Promo code FTM. Save $59 off the annual subscription today. VSiN.com/subscribe.
Paul's going to recap the betting action from last night coming up next, including, by the way, a soccer match that just ended. I think this qualifies as a bad beat. And there's a huge match ongoing, 83rd minute right now. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
All right, not a lot of drama, but that's okay. We had 6 games to bet on. Phenomenal. Monday Night Football, Rams, Vikings, first touchdown, Williams, 5-1.
Okay, so JVT and I talked about this near the end of the show yesterday. I think you and I brought this up down the stretch, maybe before that primetime game against the 49ers. If you missed the show, here's what I'm going to tell you. Kyren Williams now, after last night, has scored the Rams' first touchdown. Not the first touchdown of the game. Several of them have been, but specifically the Rams' first touchdown of the game 13 out of 17 times now.
Oh, wow.
And he was still 2-1 last night, and I did not bet it. And I had it right in front of me, and I'm talking about it. Unbelievable.
How about Allen? Anytime touchdown, 14-1.
Boy, their tight ends were great last night.
Higbee went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Apparently he's going to play, though, Sunday. Yep. He had 58 yards at halftime. Defensive touchdown, plus 280. Hold on to the ball, Sam. Rams win.
Did you have that one?
Yeah, of course. Bad. Rams win by 15 to 20 points, 18-1. Scoreless quarter again, plus 375. Most receiving yards. Hawkinson, 15-1.
Was that in the game? 15
in the game?
Oh.
Yeah, well, come on. Jefferson, Addison, Puka. Yeah. Super wild card weekend props. Most passing yards, Stroud, plus 775. No one threw for 300 yards, and only one game had a guy go for 100 receiving. Most rushing, Henry, 3-1. Most receiving, McConkey, 14-1. Most points, Texans, 28-1.
Oh,
Fewest
wow.
points, Denver, 5-1. Highest scoring game, Texans, Chargers, the only game that went over, plus 750. Lowest scoring game, Eagles, Packers, 6-1. Saturday, Chargers, Texans, first touchdown, Collins, plus 850. Defensive touchdown, plus 280. Missed extra point, plus 240. The result of the Texans' first drive, turnover, plus 650. Mixon, 100 yards, 3-1. Touchdown and 100 yards, plus 465. Nico, touchdown and 100 yards, plus 315. Mixon and Collins, touchdown, plus 375. McConkey to score and have 100 yards, plus 475. Most receiving yards in the game was cheap. More. I'll get to Saturday in a second. Texans, alt minus 3.5, plus 205. Texans win by 20 points, 16-1.
Yeah.
Mercy. Steelers, Ravens. First touchdown, Bateman, 8-1. Jefferson, anytime touchdown, 8-1. Henry, 2 scores, and the Ravens win, plus 325. Pickens and Bateman to score, plus 675. Scoreless quarter, vicious. Nothing in the fourth quarter, 3-1. Ravens by 8 to 14 points, 4-1. Broncos, Bills. First touchdown, Franklin, 50-1. Anytime, plus 850. Bills by 21, 3-1 or more. Bills by 21.5, alt, plus 275. Packers, Eagles, first touchdown, Dotson, 65-1. Under 39.5, alt under, plus 205. Missed extra point, plus 240. Eagles to win between 8 and 14 points, plus 480. And the Eagles from 3.5 to 5.5. Commanders, Bucks. Will any game have a walk-off winner at the gun? Plus 350. First touchdown, Browns, 65-1. McLaurin and Evans to both score, plus 355. Daniels, 2 scores, and Washington wins, plus 445. Commanders win between 1 and 7 points, 3-1. Most passing yards Sunday, Allen, plus 350. Most passing yards Saturday, Stroud, same price. Most receiving yards Sunday, Evans, 4-1. McConkey Saturday, plus 310. The prop over 1.5 missed extra points, plus 145 cashes. FA Cup over the weekend, Man U, plus 440. Weekend college hoops, USC, 7-1. Shocked Illinois. LaSalle, plus 650, beat the Bonnies. Old Dominion, 9-1. Vatech, plus 260. New Mexico State, plus 250. They won by 30. Monday in the NBA, the Pistons, plus 270. Knicks, bad stretch. Raptors, plus 175. Friday, the Kings were 5-1 and beat the Celtics on the road. College basketball last night, Rutgers plus 175. Morgan State plus 425. New Orleans 8-1. Hockey, the Ducks plus 415 against Carolina. Tie in regulation plus 450. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos at Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. You want a hippopotamus? Here it is. This is it. You nailed it. This is the bully. This is the kind of dog I want. How good. These guys are a tank. Look at these guys, right? Got me a little banana, get the water, get the hose in the mouth, and a little nap. Look at them. And the giveaways, the ears. You nailed it. These guys are awesome. I got a ton of videos I sent them with these guys, with the bully. Those are good-looking dogs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's excellent. That's one hippopotamus. How about this guy? Look at his workout every day with the door. Look at him. They're outside, and he's trying to get back in, and he is getting a running start. He just, with the front paws, pounding that door, trying to get that thing to open, and it's almost going to bust. And there's some give and take there. I think he's going to be able to get that thing.
First of all, how is that dog built like that? He's got more muscles than I do.
Yes, right.
He's the last person you want to run into at 1 o'clock that's looking for a bar fight.
That's right. He is built. He's an ice cube, and he's just pounding the door trying to get in about let me in, and he's going to blow that thing over. Lose some. Chargers under 44.5 down to 41.5. Overs went 1 and 5. Super wild card weekend. Bad for the books. T-Wolves from 12 up to 14.5 last night. Fell 14. Bad beat just happened that Mitch mentioned. Man City was 150 against Brentford. 2-0 Man City, 83rd minute draw. Brentford comes back. Man City blows another. Wow. How about that? That would have been a sick price in play. What's going on at Liverpool?
1-1 extra time, like 94th minute.
All right. That's like plus 350 draw. Chargers, Texans under 42. How? 13-6, 30 seconds left, third quarter. Then the egregious pick 6 by Herbert. How does that go over?
That's a bad one.
Ravens, Steelers over. Scoreless fourth quarter. Last night, Rockets 2.5 and under 236.5. Bain hit a 3, down 5 from 30 feet at the buzzer.
Yeah, there's your double whammy.
Double whammy. 120 to 118. Houston. Instead of Houston and under, it comes Memphis and over. Nuts. Ready to try something different? Sign up, start playing the ponies on First Bet. First Bet US-based, offers wagering in hundreds of races every day across the country and around the world. Sign up firstbet.com, promo code VSIN200, claim a 20% rebate for your first 60 days, up to $200. Head to firstbet.com today.
So where are you at mentally with the 14 teams that get into the playoffs now, Super Wildcard Weekend, and only one team getting a bye from each conference? Do you like it compared to the former playoff format that we had?
Yeah, I like it.
The 7 seeds have no chance, though. The Packers last year blowing out the Cowboys, the only one. Every other 7 seed has gotten just pretty much destroyed.
Yeah, I'm okay with it because it's more football. I don't know if I'd rather have back-to-back triple headers and get rid of the Monday night.
I would. I would rather do that. I think it's unfair to them. Yeah, and then
I agree.
But like you said, so then the teams that play on Saturday then play on the following Saturday. How do we have playoff teams who are going to have one day short of rest? It's happening to the Rams against the Eagles, and it's happening to the Commanders.
Well, it's a tough spot.
Against a team coming off the bye?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, what are we doing here?
Yep.
There's no I like the idea of the Monday night game, but I do also think it's unfair like I'm talking about, so go double, triple header. That'd be great. Here's why it's not going to go anywhere. Because I'm sure the ratings last night, despite it being a blowout, millions of people watched. The game on Sunday night, this is Tampa Bay and Washington we're talking about here. 29 million people watched the game. Now, that was the only dramatic game. Came down to the wire, obviously. Mm-hmm. But if 29 people were watching that game, and I don't know what the ratings were last night, but if that was a close game, that would have had 25, 30 million people watching it last night as well. And so they're going to look at this and say, yeah, what are we thinking here? We're not going to go back to 6 teams getting in. That's it. I would prefer 2 teams getting a bye from each conference. I like that idea more. But I think that ship has sailed big time now in the NFL. Have you bet anything yet? Player props are already out.
I know, it's great. I missed 10.5 down the street on the Commanders. They opened the Lions 10.5.
It's back to 9.5 now. If it touches 10, it'll probably go there for 8 seconds and then disappear. Oh. But if you pay attention, it might go to 10 at some point again this week.
That's a lot of points.
That's a big number.
Man.
Moneyline parlay. Chiefs, Lions. You want to throw the Eagles on there? Ohio State?
Well, that's the thing. I know. David Purdum's coming up at the bottom of the hour. ESPN Chalk, and he had that article of how the favorites have crushed it this year in the NFL, and then Ohio State wins and covers, Baltimore wins and covers, the Bills win and cover, the Eagles win and cover.
Yeah. I did that 3-team money line parlay.
Yeah,
right. I should have done another one where I just used the points.
And then everyone's going to tease Lions and Chiefs on Saturday.
No question. And probably put on Ohio State.
That's right. That's
in the Monday night.
Yep. But this is also a great weekend coming up, too, now that we've adjusted the calendar. The big boys coming out on Saturday, 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. We'll get to determine who's making the title game, and then you have the playing for all the marbles in college on Monday night. That's a great schedule, too.
That's a really good weekend.
Yep. But it's funny how it goes. College football, blowouts, ridiculous. Okay.
NFL.
Well, the college games were great, and the NFL did blowouts except one game.
So maybe goes that way in the NFL, too. I mean, we'll get probably, what do we have, 6 games left before the Super Bowl? 2 of them will probably be good, maybe 3. Up next, they're playing great basketball, and as a result are laying a massive number tonight against a really good team in college basketball.